Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Lisa with Lisa's Faith and Budget Planning channel. I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited to be here with you getting into my Paycheck 1 closeout and Paycheck 2 setup. I love doing these because it really gives me a good picture of what we were spending and what the money in and out was for the actual cash that actually happened in my bank account. So I have one checking account, everything comes into that, and then I distribute out to all these bills or savings categories in order to cover what I need to cover for that time period. 80% of our income comes in at the first of the month, so I need a good chunk of change at the end of Paycheck 1 to balance forward into Paycheck 2 so that all the bills on this side plus any spending will be taken care of. So right now, as you can see, a lot of things have happened. I do need to fill in Paycheck 1 expenses as far as the actuals. I just finished my weekly check-in video, and here are the numbers here. If you've seen that, you would already recognize this. I need to take grocery household from week 1 and week 2, total those two numbers together, and come up with a number that is going to be the spending right here for grocery household, the total spending. And so I have to add those 2 weeks up and then put them right here. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And I will be right back. Here are all the numbers. We were over in miscellaneous, and we're just going to make sure the budget can take care of that overage by being under in other categories. Some of the categories would be like gasoline could be under, and that can cover it a little bit, or for under in grocery household, which is going to probably cover more of the restaurants because we did go over in restaurants. And there's a new system or a new routine that's been happening on Fridays and where we're at getting dinner and all that stuff. So that's going to change. We did have an increase, $14.70 in salary. I accidentally put 2 salaries instead of 1. That was just my fault. And I had no money balance forward from the previous month and no extra income come in. So these numbers stayed the same. This went up by 2 pennies because I added the dividends from our checking account that showed up. And this gives me an accurate number of how much cash was in the checking account. And this is like my check ledger. This is how I take care of that. So I'm going to bring my calculator in and we're going to total these numbers. So our total was $6,959.03. Again, this is 80% of our income for the month. And then another paycheck will come on the 15th, and that'll finish off the rest of the month. We had 2 pennies plus the $14.70. I should have been able to do that in my head. There we go. So that's $14.72 is what we increased for Paycheck 1. Now let's go ahead and do the actuals for the expenses. These are pretty much the fixed expenses. I wasn't sure when this was going to come out, so I added it at the end of the variable, but that's fine. I don't even list it that way. It's just how I like to run things. It's either an expense or it's an income. It's one or the other, and as long as it's listed, it doesn't matter if it's fixed or not because I always rewrite it anyway in case there is an adjustment that needs to happen. I don't have to think much further than that. So let me total up all these numbers and I'll be right back. Okay, so this did change a little bit. It went up because of water. We had a little bit of a drip of faucet and my husband just fixed it today. So that was $4,288.11. Sorry about that, sloppy handwriting. And normally it's below 40, like 35, 38, and this time it was 48.72, which said there's a leak somewhere. Took a while to find it, but once we did, we fixed it. Plus the toilet was running a lot more than it should have. The flapper inside the bowl is what needed to be replaced, and that's what we did there. So that's why our water was high this past month, and it probably will be next month until now that we fixed everything, until those changes read up on the meter as less, then we're going to be charged a little bit more for this month, the month of May, and for the previous month, and the month of June's bill for what happened in May. So there we go. Now, we were under budget for our grocery household, which was nice, $694.45, and we were over budget for eating out. So I'm thinking that's kind of going to be compensated by grocery household this month. So that's $247.67, and then miscellaneous was way over, $156.43. Part of that was because I bought 6 movie tickets to see Lilo and Stitch next weekend, and I just bought them early, and we're over budget for the entire month. So only by $6, but we should be okay by the end of the month, and I should have $6 from somewhere to be able to cover that cost. I've already paid for, those spending transactions, so we'll see how it works out. And then we have gasoline, which I have more than enough. I may need one more fill up. Well, I don't know if I have more than enough, because I am driving almost once a week to Lexington for an appointment, which is about 45 minutes from here. So that's definitely going to be increasing our gas, and we'll be using it and have less gasoline money for the month. But I have been budgeting it high to kind of make sure that gets covered. So hopefully there's some left over at the end of the month. We'll see. Here we go. Nothing for unbudgeted, and then I did add TRICARE Young Adult for our son. My husband and I just made the executive decision we needed to do that, to have certain coverages for him, and we're willing to pay out of pocket to do that. He qualifies for this young adult program until he's 26, but we're only hoping a year or 2 on the program, so we'll see. $727 is our monthly fee, and so that brought that up. That is not right. No, it is right. I'm sorry. I forgot I did have it here and budgeted for it. That's good. Okay, $1,954.65, and it's higher just because of the overages up here in restaurants and miscellaneous. So now I have to figure out how much is left over and balance that forward into paycheck 2. This is the actual cash sitting in the checking account the night before the new deposit hits for paycheck 2. So we have $6,959.03, and we're going to subtract the $4,288.11 and the $1,954.65. And that left us with $716.27. Very close to what we had, but I did overspend here, so let's see what the difference is. 62.92. So we're over 46.65. So if I can spend less by this amount, we should stay in budget for the rest of the month. So now I need to take this number and balance it forward to paycheck 2, and we're going to do the setup for this. So that was $716.27. My husband's salary was $1,690.51. And we're going to do 0 because I have no expectation of extra money coming in. I have the balance forward for what was sitting in the checking account. So we are good to go here. We're going to total these two numbers up. All right, that is $2,406.78 that we have available to us for the actual cash actually sitting in the checking account to cover the bills and expenses for the rest of the month. So basically we're talking about May 15th to the last day of the month. Well, actually I should say the 29th, because the 30th is when my husband gets paid for the next month. So tithe. We had to lower the tithe in order to have money left over, and we wanted a cushion, so we did lower the tithe. If we change our mind and want to tithe back at our normal amount, I can do that at the end of the month. But we also have debt to pay off. So we were in a lot of prayer for this, and this is what we decided would be best at this point in time. Now, this could change month to month. It could change basically however often we need to change it in prayer and being honest with God, and God sharing with us what direction to go. That is what we're going to do. So instead of 200, we're doing 100, and that's what I'm going to budget here is $100. And then our AT&T bill went up. After I lowered this, I found out our AT&T bill went up. So we're budgeting $312.32. Now, if you look at my monthly budget, it says the previous month's number, and that's fine. That's different from this one because I already know the number. Why put the other number when I already know what the actual is? So I'm going to budget the actual, and then I will write the actual as well. Sinking funds this month, and that's just our annual expenses, quarterly expenses, home maintenance, car maintenance, birthday, Christmas, all those things combined. We put it all in a savings account, and then when we need to use it, we do. And we definitely used it this month several times, and I'll show you that when I do my sinking funds closeout at the end of the month before I close out this budget. And that was $407.05. So $400 to $450 a month usually goes into this account, and it covers things that happen periodically throughout the year. I actually have something every month, at least one thing, and it just worked out that way. I didn't time it that way, it just happened. So the next thing I know coming up next month is going to be our car taxes and tags. That has to happen, but other things could happen as well. Next is life insurance 1. That's for the family, $87.56, and then life insurance 2 is just my oldest adult son, $33.16. We took out a policy on him, and then electric we have $129.29 this month. It was over an $80 drop. I was very happy to see that. And then my husband's bill for $43.18. My storage on my phone, $299, and then our home security system monitoring, $65.82. We own the equipment. So what has already happened, I'm just going to go ahead and write down, is the AT&T bill has already popped on the credit card, so I'll be paying that next week. But that number's not going to change, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I've already moved the money for the sinking funds, so I want to go ahead and put that down. Normally I film this ahead of time before these happen, but that didn't happen. I'm filming late. We had storms and rains and just craziness this week, so I'm a little behind. $87.56. I saw that this morning pop into our checking account where it's auto drafted out, so those are coming out. That's a few more days away, I think, and then the rest of this will happen later. So that is the budget. That is the actual. I want to go ahead and mark the actuals here because I know these aren't going to change. These are the actual numbers. And I won't put anything here just in case we make a deposit for whatever reason or something happens. Now, the rest of this is the spending categories. And I've added some things here. So grocery household, we have $805.55 left over, and that's what's going to get us through the next few weeks. Restaurants, we have $152.33. That's probably going to be 1 week, and we'll need more than that for the rest of this month. We are going to the movies. Anytime we buy snacks at the movies, I add that to eating out. It's probably going to be compensated by grocery household by the end of the month. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Music, miscellaneous. let's see, miscellaneous. I don't have money left in miscellaneous. I have to write the negative, so I need to go back and figure that out. 75 for paycheck 1 and 75 for paycheck 2 minus the 156.43. Yeah, that's what it is. I just want to make sure before I jumped in here because I don't have it in my notes. There we go. All right, so I know I'm already over budget for the entire month for that. And then gasoline, we have 128. This should get us for the, or yeah, 128.97. This should get us through for the rest of the month. And then copay, we still have 41.93. We might have a little bit more prescriptions, but I'm not sure. So that gives us a little buffer. Unbudgeted is always 0. Probably don't have any in the buffer to use, so I don't think we'll use that. And then I added subscribe and save Amazon. I think what I want to do, now that I've said that out loud, is I may not have as much in here as I thought. $805.55 minus $75. Let's do that. So I'm going to do $730 here. And 75 here. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'll probably still include it in grocery household, the subscribe and save, because they're all supplements. And that's how I pay for my supplements, is through the subscribe and save. But I'm trying to get better at remember that it's happening at the end of the month and that they're going to come out. So I might start separating it out as another category, or replace it with unbudgeted and just not write unbudgeted anymore. I don't know. Give me your thoughts on that. So we'll see how this works out at the end of the month. But I want to protect $75 of it because I know how much is coming out and is going to be charged to the credit card at the end of the month. It gives you a list of itemized. I think it has everything but the tax. So that gives me a buffer for tax. Okay, so I have all my bills and spending over here, and we are ready to total up just the budgeting column. The rest of it will be done when I close out the budget at the end of the month. I always close out this paycheck 2, and that's my monthly budget closeout, is the paycheck 2 closeout. I find out what week 4 is and then get the totals of my actuals for these expenses that are variable, and then I close out the budget for the month. And I have been doing a 5-minute budget closeout. I need to put it as a 8-minute budget closeout. It takes me a little longer on my monthly budget page, which I always start every month with. So if you're interested in those videos, check those out when they happen at the end of the month. So let's go ahead and total these budgeted items. So this first column of bills is $1,181.37. And then all right, we have $1,122.35. All right, let's see if the numbers work. So I have $2,406.78 plus minus the $1,181.37 and $1,122.35. Okay. It's a little higher than I planned, but that's okay, I think. All right, so this number is correct. I didn't have this negative 643 in my notes, so it threw my notes off and made it less than what it could be at the end of the month. I don't know why, it just did. So here we go. We have estimated end of the month amount, which is $103.06. We are putting every penny towards debt. So if we have $100 left over at the end of the month, then we are good, and I can use that to put towards the debt. So I'm going to put pay, credit card, debt. There we go. And I'm going to put 0 here because we're not going to budget for it, because if there's more I can save in this area, I'm going to try to. If it's less, I just want to put the actual. I don't really want a budget amount. So if I do that, then I can just kind of just leave this open for this to go and make this an actual end of the month 0. So that's what I'm thinking right now. And hopefully we're not too far over budget in the other categories. I really want to keep them within what we've already done. I have in these spending categories $1,122.35 total. And if you take that number and divide it by 2, if I stay within $561 a week total, it doesn't really matter what category. This is just cash, and then this is a way of seeing trends on what I'm spending for different things. And so with this combined together with that number, for 7 days I have $561 to use. And then the next week I have $561 to use if I stay within that number. And that's just another way of looking at it. If you're not good with categories and you don't really care where the money's going within these different areas, that's fine. If you're borrowing from these other categories all the time, which I try not to, but if you're doing it all the time, maybe just having spending at a certain amount for the week is all you really need. And it doesn't matter about the categories. You just use, I know I have $561, so I will budget it as it happens, kind of thing. So either way works. And that's my paycheck to set up. I know what we're estimated at the end of the month, and if we can keep it, then I can put it towards the credit card and we can kind of pay down the debt a little bit more. So that is what I have here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys next time. Have an amazing and blessed day. Bye.
I never thought in the wildest dream I'd see you again. Never dreamed about now